Well, here we are. Now in December, looking back at November, here to give you the key stats because whether you're living here, whether you're moving here, it's numbers you need to know, so let's get right into it. So starting off with, of course, the biggest number that everybody wants to know, which is just tell me the average sale price. Are we up? Are we down? Well, the average sale price for this month hit $626,000. Now that's down 1%, roughly like $9,500 from the previous month. And last year, that number was 607. So last year we're up 3% on last year, roughly $19,000. So comparing to this month last year, we're certainly doing a lot better. But when we look at the trend since, just looking at some numbers here from August, we're basically on a little bit of a downward trend because August was the peak of our market for sure, just coming at like $650 something thousand. Right now we're down to like 626. So it's been kind of coming down gradually. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Everybody is going, oh my God, is Halifax like in a bubble? How are we heading for a crash? All of those sort of things. No, we're not. And here's the reason why we are not heading for a crash. So buyers, stop thinking that you're going to get a super killer deal, and also stop waiting for that perfect house to come up or the rates to drop, because we're hearing that a lot at the moment, that buyers are saying, well, do you know what? I'm just going to kind of hang on a bit because the rates are going to drop. If they do, which I don't think they are, we've got an announcement coming up shortly, but if they do drop, it's just going to force more buyers into the market, and you as a buyer are going to be in more competition for that house that you are trying to find. So there is never the right perfect time to buy a house in the market. So don't try and time the market. Just buy the house and spend time in the market. That's kind of the key thing here, because with the prices slowing down, and certainly December, is definitely slow in terms of activity, then that's something you want to look at. For a seller, it's the same, but opposite, in the fact that you want to make sure you are very competitive on price and you look good compared to everybody else that's currently on the market, because those are your competitors right now. So yes, the price has been coming down, but we're still at $626,000. It's still a pretty chunky number. And yes, we'll go into the top markets. We'll also go through the price brackets as well to see what's going on there. But the reason that we are definitely not going to see that bubble or that big slide in prices is because we just don't have a lot of houses for sale. Right now, here this month, we're at 858 homes for sale. It was just over 1,000 last month, so that drops us down 14% from last month. Now, yes, last year we were only at 752 homes for sale, so we're up on last year. But overall, our volume of sales is coming down from 2024 to 2025 through the whole year. Now, if the volume is coming down in terms of activity, but we're still listing houses, that shows that inventory is growing. So not only have we got like 858 homes for sale, but we didn't sell as many because we only sold 305 in terms of volume. Last month, that was 410. So we're down like 26% on that. But we're also down on last year to the tune of 14% because we sold 355 last year. So that's again showing that the volume is down. So the converse of that is, yes, we had 1,000 homes last month for sale. But given that last month we were at 2.4 months of inventory, this time, because we don't have as many sales and we don't have as many active for sale, we're actually at 2.8 months. So we didn't truly eat into a lot of that inventory, because last month that was 2.4 months. We've actually gone up to 2.8 months. And that's also another bit of a trend that we've been seeing over the last 4 or 5 months. We're getting close to that 3 months of inventory. Still really a seller's market, but it's not behaving that way. And I've been saying that statement for like the last 4 or 5 videos, so it's nothing new for you to hear that I'm saying the same thing again. It's not behaving like a seller's market at all. It's behaving very much like a buyer's market, but just without one key factor, which is a lot of homes for sale and lots of months of inventory. I mean, if we're just under 3 months of inventory, that in theory is still showing up as a seller's market. But again, it's just not behaving that way. So when we look at the average sale to list price, that's another key factor. We are at 97.9%. So underneath asking price by roughly 2%. So not a huge number, like that's for sure. But it's always nice that we're under. And yes, let's also talk about the elephant in the room, which is price reductions. On average this month, across all markets, all price brackets, we hit a $50,000 number in terms of an average price drop to then get to the price where somebody then wrote an offer. And then we're at 98%, 97.9%. So you can see when you start stacking up these factors, it's really showing a different story compared to just looking at months of inventory, because that's not the key measure when you want to look at months of inventory. Is it a buyer? Is it a balanced? Is it a seller? Because that shows us seller, less than 5 months, seller's market. But everything else isn't showing that. Also, when we look at days on market, we are at 44 days on market, creeping up, because that was 38 last month, that was 37 last year. So again, properties are definitely taking longer. And when we go into a little bit further on into the section of the video, we're going to talk about the price brackets and the days on market of each of those price brackets and the price drops in those price brackets as well, because that's always another good story. Now, when we look at the number of homes that were listed in a month, this is a big drop. We only listed just over 300 homes in the month. Last month, we listed 489 homes. Last year, 373 homes. So we are down like 38%, well over a third compared to last month. But also we're down 18% on this month last year, because it's very good to compare this month versus this month last year, because it gives you an idea of what the trend is. So right now, like, we didn't list a lot of homes for sure. Doesn't feel like we're going to do that in December either, because December is traditionally a pretty quiet month here in Nova Scotia. Also, let's have a look at that sales to new listing ratio, because this month that came out at 100%. Listed 304, sold 305. That's 100% when you look at the two numbers. Now, last month, that was actually 84%, so we had more new listings came on compared to the sales. Last year, it was fairly similar then, because we had 373 new listings added on, but only 355 sold. So that was like 95%. So you can see that we're getting into that time when less people are listing, but we're kind of keeping that same momentum going in terms of the buyers. What that means for sellers is there's not a lot of listings coming up. So what you're competing with is, let's call them older listings that have been on the market for at least a month. And those are the ones then that people are starting to look at and going, okay, maybe there's something wrong with them here. Why aren't they selling? Ooh, look at that fresh brand new listing that came on. And that's why you start actually listing properties in December, because we don't list a lot of properties. So when you do list your property, it stands out. It's new, it's fresh, it's exciting, and everybody wants to have a look at it because you're new. They've looked at all the old stuff and they've like either gone to see them, not that impressed, or just something about that property wasn't right. So maybe yours is the right one. So don't think about not listing your house in December. Just prepare for the fact that, yes, there's only really 2.5 weeks in December of real activity. Once you get certainly to the 22nd, 23rd of December, it's going to slow down. Maybe there's a little bit of activity in between Christmas and the New Year, but realistically, a lot of people are in vacation mode and it's going to trip over into January in terms of activity there. So when I've looked at the overall volume for what's going to happen in 2025 in terms of all the sales, we are definitely looking, with just the 1 month of activity to go, as though we're going to be around about 8%, 9% down on last year in terms of the volume. And that's certainly how it's felt. It's been a much different year this year to probably all the previous years. And it feels like we're getting into that time when like our activity is getting a little bit more normalized compared to the big uptick we had during those COVID years. And certainly it's trailed off a little bit into 2025. So again, it's all about standing out from a listing point of view, from a sale point of view. You've got to stand out and make yourself look incredibly attractive to the buyers that are out there, because we are still seeing a good amount of migration and a good amount of people moving around in terms of like different areas of Halifax, Bedford, Fall River, Hammonds Plains and Dartmouth, but as well people coming from Ontario. They're still coming in to Nova Scotia and also Alberta and also BC. Those are the three big areas that we're seeing migration come. The challenge, I think, is that we're also starting to see a bit of an uptick in people looking at New Brunswick because of a price point and what they get there. It's starting to look a little bit more attractive. Big question is, has New Brunswick actually got the economic sustainability? Has it got the jobs? Has it got the amenities and the facilities that people and families want versus Nova Scotia? Arguably not, but it really does depend as to where that job is and where the transit is. And can you live in New Brunswick but work in Nova Scotia? That would be a bit of a stretch. Delving into a little bit of a different number, which is the median price. Now, the median is all about stripping out some of those much, much higher price points, much, much lower price points, and looking at the median in between. So if we looked at just the median for November, that was $582,500. For October, it was $575,000. So we just talked about the average price taking a trail downwards, but if you look at the median price, we actually went up from last month to this month. So again, it's about stripping out some of those really high priced houses, some of the kind of extremities, and saying, well, okay, but on the average in the median, on average, no, look at the median. What's the median price point in the middle? And we're actually at $582,500, up $7,500 from last month. Okay, let's go into some price brackets here and keep that trend going so we can see exactly where the volume is and where most activity is. It's not really going to change that much in terms of where the volume is, but we want to look at days on market this time and price drops in those price brackets to see where you could potentially start looking for a little bit of a deal. 0 to 400,000, that's our first price band. We are at 33 sales, 41 days on market, and an average $39,000 price drop. So even though it's the lowest price brand, there's still some pretty chunky price drops going on there to get to a point where you actually started being able to buy a property because you look at the list price and think that's now attractive. So this is the original list price to the list price that went conditional on. 4 to 500, we're looking at 54 homes there. We have 35 days on market and a $32,000 price drop. So again, still pretty good. 5 to 600, we're now at 83 sales, 44 days on market, and a $39,000 price drop again. 6 to 700, jumping down a little bit in terms of activity here. 55 homes sold, 40 days on market, but a $37,000 price drop in that band. So again, 5 to 600 and 6 to 700, kind of picking up the majority of the activity that we're looking for here. 7 to 800,000, we're at 31 sales, 51 days on market, but now we're hitting $45,000 average price drops to get to the list price. 8 to 900K, 25 home sales, 39 days on market with a $42,000 price drop. 900 to a million, if we've got those kind of pockets here, we're at 5 home sales, 54 days on market, but an average list to list price that got the offer of $77,000 price drop. So somebody got some numbers wrong there, or somebody was really eager to sell and had to do some good price drops to get offers accepted. 1 to 2 million, interesting. We had 18 homes sale there, so it's still a pretty good number of volume into that pretty good price range as well. 72 days on market, so taking a lot longer, but a $96,000 average price drop into that bracket. And again, the bigger the listing price, maybe it's the same situation, the bigger the price drops they can do to get the offers accepted at whatever they end up listing price. And then we just had one sale over $2 million, 118 days on market, and 200K price drop on that property to get to a price where somebody wrote an offer. So that gives you the brackets, and certainly we'll start expanding a little bit more on there. Maybe start looking at sale to list price of the actual offers that got accepted to see where exactly they end up. Now we'll jump over to our top 3, little teaser, top 4 markets this time. Number 1 was East Hants and Colchester West. $526,000 list price, $514,000 accepted sale price, so a 12K drop in terms of price, decrease of 2%. 49 days on market, 33 sales in the month, so roughly, what would that be, 10% of the sales took place in that market. 91 for sale, giving them 2.8 months of inventory. And again, we know that these top 4 markets usually are always the top 3. So now we're at number 2. We're at Timberlake, Prospect, St. Margaret's Bay, Upper Tantallon. 677k average list price, 668 on the sale, giving them a roughly $9,000, 1.3% price drop. 47 days on market, 27 sold in the month, but 130 for sale, giving them 4.8 months of inventory. That's a lot. I mean, it's not a lot, but when you look at our average of 2.8 months, we're at 4.8 months. There's a lot of inventory sale up there. Some of it could be down to new construction because there is a couple of new subdivisions down there, and builders tend to put the houses on the market more or less from day zero, even though there's no foundation, and just leave them up for sale. So that can certainly affect some of the numbers that we're looking at here, but it's not huge. It's just properties are taking longer in that market to sell. Tied at number 3, we have Bedford and Sackville. So to go to Bedford first, we're looking at a $737,000 list price, $719 on the sale, roughly an $18,000 price reduction there, 2.5%. That's not bad. 40 days on market, 19 sales in the month, 39 for sale, giving them 2.1 months of inventory. And to cover off the top market, let's finish off with Sackville. In at number joint third. Yeah, it must be joint third because we do it on volume. Can't really call it fourth. We're looking at a $469,000 average list price, 462 on the sale, $7,000 price drop, 1.4%. 24 days on market, 19 sales in the month, 23 for sale. So it's still only 1.2 months. But interesting, if we go back over time, Sackville was kind of always in the number one market with the mid 500s in terms of average sale price. So they've come down a lot from a mid 500 down to a 462. You know, you're probably in that $75,000 to $90,000 average sale price drop over the last, I'd say, 18, maybe 19 months. So that wraps up everything you need to know if you're thinking of buying, selling, trading up, trading down, get rid of the trophy house, moving to something smaller. That covers the whole market. Now, if you have any questions, definitely hit us up down below with a comment. Add a question. Let's see what we can do to get you some information so that you can make informed decisions moving forwards.